All right, part two. Technical difficulties the first time, but we're gonna get it to work. I promise. It's gonna happen. Now just waiting. Let's see. Okay. Here's. Yay, I hear sound.
Yes, I hear sound too.
Yay! What's up,
How you
AP?
doing? I'm doing great. How you doing, Miss Ross?
Good. I am doing really good. I'm happy. Our technical difficulties are out of the way. Now it's just going to be smooth sailing.
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay, so right now, where are you at exactly right now?
I am in Ashburn, Virginia. I'm at the house. Just got home.
Ashford, Virginia.
Yeah, it's nice. It kind of reminds me of the area. Kind of reminds me of Eden Perry.
Oh,
It's like a good family area. It's plush and green and trees, and it's a beautiful place.
okay. So talk to me a little bit about how this whole Washington situation came about. Like, did you know you were going to go to Washington around the time like everybody knew that you were going to Washington, or was it something that was in the works?
Well, it was something that was in the works, and Trent Williams, the starting left tackle for the Washington Redskins, he's a really good friend of mine. So playing for Washington has always been something that I desired, because of the offensive line, mainly because of the offensive line. And we're speaking with him. He was like, I've mentioned something to the owner and the GM, but I know they're trying to go after this young guy. So he was like, if we get him, then I really don't know. So I was like, all right, whatever. It really wasn't that big of a deal because I knew I know how the business goes. So everything kind of came into fruition when the injury happened, and so immediately I texted Trent and I was like, hey, let him know that I'm ready. I had seen that they brought in a couple other backs to work out, and I was like, hey, just let them know I'm ready to go. And my agent had been in talks a little bit with them as well. So I remember Sunday, the night before I came in, take that back, the day that I came in, I remember waking up and getting a call from my agent, and it was like 10 o'clock, and he was like, hey, you see the move Redskins made? They brought in, Jamal Charles and some other back. And I was like, okay. Like, I have a lot of respect for Jamal Charles because it's my boy, Texas guy. I was like, they're gonna bring in this guy and that guy. They can't even give me a call. At that point, I was like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. It's their loss. Um, my flight left from Tulsa, Oklahoma, to go back to Houston at 12. So of course, you turn off your phone. When I land, I turn my phone on, and I have like text messages like from my agent, like, "Hey, call me, everything okay? Call me. The Redskins, they want to bring me in to work out." So by that time, it was that they were bringing me up for a workout, and the rest is going to be history.
Nice. And I was actually reading this article. Shout out to another great back, MJD. And it was talking about how not only like this fit in Washington is a great fit for you, but it's a great fit for them. And when I was really looking at a lot of your tape, I was looking at, through your career, what's made you so dynamic is the way, you can hit the hole. And now going to Washington, I think that, and you probably can speak better because you're running behind them. Talk to me a little bit about the line and just how it's more of an advantage to you at this point in your career, having guys that can help set these holes and lanes for you.
You know, with any NFL team, I feel like the most important key is the offensive line and defensive line. So when I came out in 2007, I had Matt Burke, who was a Harvard graduate. I had Steve Hutchinson, I had Brian McKinney, Anthony Herrera. So I had some really good guys in front of me blocking. So it really made it a lot easier for me to to be patient and let those guys work and develop the whole that, the scheme that we're designed to hit as far as the whole. So the past couple of years, in my last couple of years in Minnesota, I didn't really have that. It was like, hey, full speed ahead. As soon as you see a crease, hit it, and if that doesn't work, then try to make something happen. So being behind the line, like what we have here in Washington, it's like a blessing for me. Going into my 12th season, and having Trent Williams, the best left tackle in the game, and a solid offensive of line in front of me, where I'm able to, to be patient and let those guys work and create holes for me for me and CT to take advantage of. It takes a toll off of my body because it takes away hits, and it helps preserve energy as well. So it's big.
That's a great transition. So that line obviously helps set you up for your 100th rushing touchdown. I'm going to ask you the question that everybody wants to know. When you hit the 100th touchdown, what was going through your mind? Or did you have the realization more after the game of like, wow, this is a really big accomplishment?
Mm-hmm. I think after the game is kind of when it really hit me. But, leading up to it, of course, that's all I was hearing about, the 100 yards, and obviously passing Marshall Faulk and Jim Brown. But normally when I'm back there and, I'm trying to get in the end zone, that's the only thing I'm thinking about, just scoring, to put 6 points on the board. But I remember it was on the third play. It was the third run play. I remember sitting back there in the, 8 yards deep, and I was like, whew, it's like they're making it hard to get to this 100, this 100 touchdown. They're making it really hard. But hey, I got to bite down and get in there some type of way. And it was a blast to the right, and I ended up just making it was a great block too by the offensive lineman, and the guard did a great job pulling and cleaning up the Mike linebacker. But it was a rather easy touchdown once the ball touched my hand. Made a slight cut to the left and kind of hot stepped in. But it's a blessing when I think about it. It's only 7 running backs in NFL history, have reached 100 touchdowns. So I'm just blessed to be a part of it.
Okay, so this is like kind of like a personal question, but what do you listen to like get you in the zone? Like, are you on the new wave? Like, are you listening to like the like Drake and Future? Or are you like more of an old school guy? Like, what gets you hyped before the game?
I really don't listen to too much music, to be honest with you. I kind of just be in my own little world, my own zone. Of course, the guys, they have music blasting around the locker room, but I'm more mellow. So whenever I do listen to music, it's like R&B, or Christian music, Kirk Franklin, or
Now Kirk will give you the energy though. Kirk, when you listen to Stomp by Kirk Franklin,
yeah. Or or a little Lecrae, he give you a little more of the hip hop feel, But I found myself listening to Monica before the game. Like, I don't know, I'm different. Once I get out there on the field, it's easy for me to get locked in and be ready to roll.
This is another question I have. Talking to a couple backs. Now, some backs, like, from what they've told me, is like they kind of need maybe like 5 to 10 carries going into the game to really like get into a rhythm. Some people, they just go first carry, like boom, they're to the races. For you, do you need those couple carries to kind of start getting a rhythm, or is it just like first touch, I'm ready to go?
That's a good question. I would say, after that first touch, it's something about it. I don't know. Because I've had success throughout my career on my first carry, but I think once you kind of get that first touch out the way, for me, it's like, okay, I'm ready to roll, and I think any back needs, a couple runs to kind of get into the rhythm and the flow of the game, the speed of the game, So yeah, I think about 1 or 2 carries, then I think I'm locked in and ready to go.
Another question. So obviously, like you're regarded as like this great running back, and you have fans all over the world. But I want to know, like, who in your life is your checks and balances? Who do you go to like keep it real with you?
My pops, he always keeps it 100, and that's one thing I've always respected about him is his honesty, So, sometimes I'll be ready to get off the phone with him, or I just stop listening to him. But when I sit back and think, I'm like, you know what? It made sense, and he was right here. He wasn't right there, but this right here made sense. But he always keep it 100 with me. Let me know different things that he see on the field that I could have did better. So he's like one of the first people I call after my games to talk to, and I'm just like, hey, what you think? What you see on this play or on that play, you know, um, or he might point out something that I didn't want to mention. I'm just like, yeah, I know, huh? He's like, yeah, if you would have had the ball in your left arm, then hey, you could have did that, So he's pretty much the one that keeps me in check.
Okay, talk to me a little bit about now. Obviously, you spent so many years in Minnesota, was with the Saints for a little bit, with the Cardinals last year. What has been your feeling like the team dynamic like with Washington so far? Like, how would you describe that locker room environment?
you know, I'm get I'm becoming more familiar with it. I love the energy within the locker room, and it's always interesting when you get 50 plus guys together. From what 19 to really like 20 to 40 years old. You get a lot of different personalities within that locker room. But I like it. It's chill. Guys that we are all on one accord. We're all in sync as far as what we are trying to accomplish. You get guys to kind of go back and forth, go back and forth or whatnot. But at the end of the day, you know, I sense and I can see that we know what our ultimate goal is and what we're trying to accomplish as an organization.
What do you think about like the new style around, the NFL? A lot of it is like running back by committee. And obviously you've been very ball dominant your whole career, but how is it that, you're now sharing more reps, but how, like, talk to me a little bit about that. Kind of now you're at a point where you're taking younger guys, your wing, and showing them the way it.
You know, it's familiar waters for me because when I came in to Minnesota, I had Chester Taylor, and he was kind of like the vet guy there. He was the starter there, and so we shared reps as well. And he was more like the third down back. So having a guy like Chris Thompson, he does an amazing job out there. He's a matchup for a linebacker. You know, they have their hands filled when they're, So for me, it's all about just knowing my job third down, for whatever reason, just making sure that I'm prepared to execute as well. So it's it really has never been a big deal for me. But the crazy thing is just being in the locker room with these guys and kind of catching them sometimes like staring at me, or whatnot, or even in the locker room, and just hearing some of their stories about how I inspired them, to get to where they are, and how I was their favorite player, So I'm like, man, I feel like Kevin Williams and Pat Williams and Antoine Winfield, all those guys felt when I came to Minnesota. I mean, how I felt towards those guys. That's how these young guys are looking at me. But it's a good position to be in because I can teach them a lot, and not only about football, but just about life and their mentality and how you can approach different situations, whether it's injury or whether, it's, dealing with a relationship. It's a lot of things that I'm able to share with them that would be beneficial and can be beneficial for them.
I think that's like a perfect segue, because I really wanted to know this too about, obviously we all go through different things in life, and you've dealt with your fair share of, just different injuries and, from different things, just different adversities. For you, what has been your anchor in those hard times when you're kind of in the midst of a storm or you're going through something? Like, what for you has been your sounding board and kind of brought you peace in the midst of like storms and different things?
Just knowing that God wouldn't put more on me than I can bear. And, and I'm like a black and white person, I like to keep it as smooth and, as straight to the point as possible. So for me, it was something that I was able to establish a long time ago because I lost my brother at the age of 7. And it happened right in front of me. I seen him get hit by the car. I seen him fly up in the air, hit the ground. So for me, growing up in a Christian, household, my stepdad being a pastor, it was something that was instilled in me that, hey, as long as you rely on your Lord and Savior, he will pull you through anything that you go through, and then you look at, for instance, the story of Job, and you see how he lost all his kids, his wife, everything, and he stayed true to God, and stayed faithful and stayed believing, and he came back, and God blessed him to have more than he had beforehand. So when I look at things that I go through in life, it's like, if Job was able to, be restored and keep the faith, it'll be easy for me. It should be easy for me to do the same thing no matter what you go through. Now we're human, so you're gonna feel, we're human, so you're gonna hurt, you're gonna cry, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just can't let it keep you down. You gotta get back up and pressing forward.
No, you got to dust. That's really good. And you know what? Something funny is that I just started rereading the book of Job, and I actually read that. Like, I think I read chapter like 16 this morning. So that's just so funny how everything ties together.
Yeah, crazy.
Okay, so back to a little, we got all the like mushy stuff out of the way. Back to a little football. I know most players say like, I'm just focusing on this week, next game. Are there any games on the schedule that you're kind of looking forward to, or you're like, oh, I'm eyeing that matchup?
Yeah, I actually got 2 back-to-back. So this weekend, playing Green Bay. I'm just looking forward to playing a familiar opponent, and being able to say what's up to A-Rod after the game as well. And then once we come back for my bye week, we play New Orleans. So of course I spent some time down there. So I'm looking forward to going down there, getting some beignets and getting some good seafood down there, some Cajun food, and playing against a lot of the guys that I went through training camp with as well. So the 2 for sure that I'm looking forward to.
Personally, for me, the 2 games that I'm eyeing for the Redskins, the Thanksgiving Day game, Cowboys, which is like about 2 hours from where you grew up. So I know your lot of fam will be there for you. And then the Jaguar game, I think you guys traveled to Jacksonville, and you played Jacksonville last year, and I was actually at that game with the Cardinals.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the Cowboy because, of course, I grew up a Cowboys fan. For you all that didn't know, I grew up a Cowboys fan, and my family, 95% of them are Cowboy fans. So it's going to be a bad day for my family once we.
So, like that day, are they going to be Washington fans for the day? Like, are they just going to be AP fans?
50-50. I'm sure it'll be 50-50 because I have some family. Even when I was with the Vikings, they still were rocking the Cowboys stuff. Like they're hard Cowboy fans. So, but I can respect that because outside of I play against the Cowboys, I'm a fan too. Uh, it's all love, you know. But they still show me love too now. They still show. But I'm looking forward to that game. Being back home and being home and having a lot of family come there and show support. And the Jacksonville game as well, exciting, because of how things ended for me last year in Arizona. That game, I was having a decent game, I thought, up until the point when the injury took place. In their home stadium, playing outside on the grass field, which is my favorite surface to play on, and playing one of the best defense in the NFL. So it'll be a good test for us.
Okay, I know you're a busy man, so this will be my final question. When it's all said and done, what do you want people to remember most about you outside of the game of football? Not the 100 touchdowns. We're going to get more than that, obviously. But what do you want people to remember about you, Adrian Peterson, the man, the father, the husband, the person? What do you want them to remember?
That I was a genuine person, and most importantly, that everything that I accomplished in my career, in my life, was all because of Jesus Christ. He was the only reason that I was able to come back from my ACL and have a record-breaking, season, come back from my meniscus, like everything that I endured in football and outside of football, just keeping my faith in God and, having that perseverance and not allowing, people to box me in. It was that mentality came from, being a firm believer in Jesus Christ and knowing that you can do anything through Christ who strengthens you. So that would be the number one thing I want people to remember about me. That, what? He didn't let people box him in. He was a firm believer in Christ, and he did things that other people felt that was impossible. And how did he do those things? Through Christ Jesus, who gave the strength.
I mean, mic drop moment. that was really good. And I just wanted to say this to everybody watching. AP, you did not have to do this. So from the bottom of my heart, I genuinely thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I appreciate it. And, this is another thing that a lot of people don't know is when I started Hot Takes, AP was one of my first supporters, very behind the scenes, very encouraging. So thank you so much to just all the mentorship, the advice, everything. I appreciate it. I'm rooting for you up in Washington. I think y'all are going to shock a lot of people.
Appreciate it. I thank you so much for the opportunity. It was fun. And I wish you the best as well. You're doing some great things, and I wish you nothing but, prosperous, opportunities to come your way, and, nothing but success. You're shining bright like a star. And, like I told you before, you just keep pressing, keep putting the work in, and you'll be able to look back and appreciate, the process, once you accomplish your ultimate goals. So just continue first. Yeah, God's plan. Work out.
All right. Thank you so much, AP. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This was great. Hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to save it so you guys can watch it if you didn't get to watch it. But thank you again, AP.